Hello everybody, I'm Kamaleao, welcome to my channel. Recently I got the urge to play an MMO again. It was once one of my favorite genres, but I more or less stopped playing them altogether. Now, after some time back into a few of them, I have realized that I have a couple of problems with them, and it's problems that I think are, to some extent, visible in pretty much every MMO. At least in every one that I have played so far in my life. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about a few of them and see what you think about them maybe. The first problem that I have is, or the first issue that I have with pretty much all of them, is the dead and empty worlds. I'm going to use WoW as an example, or as my first example here. Not because I just want to yeah, criticize WoW a lot, even though that seems to be a long-standing tradition, criticizing WoW. No. Actually, I think WoW is a pretty good MMO, it still is, and it's one of the MMOs that I played the most. So it just felt naturally to look back into this game. So when you look at this, there's nothing here. Nothing is happening, everything is static. And even though the world is big, really big, I mean you have multiple worlds, so to speak, you have multiple continents, on each continent you have many zones, but yeah, the problem is pretty much every area just feels dead to me. There are, sure, NPCs, somebody's lying here and sleeping, but he's lying here and sleeping forever. There are mobs, not here. Ow, I just walked into the fire, that's always a good idea. There are mobs, but again, this mob is going to be here forever. There are other players, sure, from time to time. But everything is painfully static and predictable. Nothing changes. Nothing I or anybody else does has actually any impact on the world whatsoever. Unforeseeable things are few and far between, and they happen at best, usually, only the first time you go through them. After that, you know exactly what is going to happen at any given time. I mean, sure, if I do a quest for the first time, it is to a degree unforeseeable and unpredictable because I don't know what the quest is going to be, but on the other hand the quest design is somewhat limited and sooner or later you know all the quests. Another problem that adds to this is that there's little to no reason to ever go back to old zones. After you've leveled through them, the vast majority of time you spend in the game will be spent in a tiny portion of the world. So, if it goes to this, once I have gone through the Barrens, why would I go back there? It's not really a reason. There are exceptions, of course, but generally, once I'm through these, why go back? And that has two results. One is that the game world feels even more empty and desolate because, well, there's nobody here. Nobody at all. See, very occasionally you see maybe that one guy who came in here, but generally it's dead. Nobody's here. Everything is empty. And the second is, it makes the game world, even as you play, feel much smaller than it is. I mean, you have all this stuff. All this stuff and all this stuff. But where do you actually play once you hit max level? Only here. Or is it here? Or do you play somebody else? No, I mean, once you've reached max level, is there any reason to go back to Northrend? Not really. And as far as I know, at least. Is there any reason to go back to, I don't know, the Deadwind Pass? Stranglethorn Vale? No. All this world becomes pretty much useless and unnecessary because you are only going to move into a tiny portion of it. And all the rest is theoretically there, but for all practical intents and purposes, the world is tiny. And that is not good. Now, just to see that it's not just, well, I'm going to change to a different game and reiterate my points and make some more points in another game. As I said, that problem is pretty widespread. Black Desert Online, which is this game if you don't know it, has pretty much the same problem for me. On first glance, this world looks pretty active, right? And pretty alive. There's just trolls running into this this fort and attacking everybody, and they have to defend themselves. Is that one attacking me? No. It's attacking that guy. Who is not defending himself? And there we are at my problem. Everything seems very alive. Let's just kill those guys. Now he's defending himself. Now that I'm helping him. Okay. Everything seems more alive, but nothing actually is. There are trolls on the walls, they're trying to get in, and they're punching the guys who are standing there, they're trying to defend. But if you look at it, if I can get it to stop shaking all the time, nothing is happening, actually. The troll is just standing there, smashing that guy who isn't even wearing armor or has any kind of weapon, and nothing happens. Smash, nothing happens. Come on, smash him again. How durable is that dude? It's amazing. Everything just stays the way it is. All the time. It doesn't even matter what I do. Look at this guy. I mean, okay, they're stabbing the air, but there's a troll there. If I kill the troll, they actually just keep stabbing. Seems like that troll wasn't actually what they were fighting the air. Which, apparently, I mean, the air seems to be very dangerous. And this guy doesn't even have his weapon in his hand. That's just... There's another guy who's just stabbing the air, and he is slashing the air fiercely. That's amazing. Very alive. Now, you do, or I did, a lot of quests around here in this area. I killed a bunch of trolls, I went out and made sure the supply lines are in good order, and I went down there. Oh, ouch. Just let me go. And I destroyed a bunch of these catapult thingies. Whatever they're supposed... They're called catapults. I mean, they're obviously not catapults, but the game calls them catapults. I destroyed a bunch of them, and everything stayed the way it was when I first entered this area. Let's go somewhere else where the camera's not shaking all the time, because that keeps being annoying. Okay, let's go. Now, does it shake less here? Yes, it does. Good. Well, let's just enjoy the nice view. You have things that seem more alive here. I mean, you have that in almost every game. You have that in WoW as well. Areas that seem alive because a lot of things are happening on screen. But it just makes zero difference what you actually do. I could have done none of the quests here and the area would look exactly the same. It's completely irrelevant. And in this game, I mean, you didn't really see one, but because I'm right now in an area that is not that well populated on the map. But you have more players running around here in leveling areas or in lower level areas. But that doesn't really make too much of a difference for two reasons. The first is the other players can't really change anything about the world either. And the second is there is pretty much never any interaction between players apart from the occasional face punching. They do what they do, I do what I do. And meeting them or not meeting them, that has close to zero impact on the game. Now the question is, what would I want? How would I want the game world, or how would the game world have to be for me to feel alive? Mainly two things. First, the action of the players, or the actions of the players, me personally and the players as a whole, needs to have some visible, quantifiable impact on the game world. What I do has to have an effect. If I go around and kill all the catapults and they just keep respawning and respawning and respawning, why am I even killing them? If it doesn't make any difference whether I go out and save the supply trains, that feels just stupid, because of why am I even doing that? The second thing is, the world can't always be so predictable. Unexpected things need to happen at least from time to time. Because, well, life is unpredictable. Most MMOs I have played do actually have aspects of that, at least to a degree. They try. WoW also had that. I remember back when I started playing WoW during vanilla, open world PvP was a big thing. It did happen unexpectedly, spontaneously, and a simple clash between two players could lead into an hours-long battle for Tyrant's Mill. It could also lead to nothing, just an exchange of a few blows and both players retreating. And that it was unexpected, unpredictable. Things just happened and evolved. People banded together and attacked the other faction's main cities. Sudden calls for help to defend our own cities or to hunt a group of rogues assassinating people. That was very cool for me, and it made the world feel alive. Now sure, if you don't like PvP, none of that is actually interesting. But I like PvP, and the spontaneousness and the asymmetry of those situations made the game feel far more alive for me. WoW even had an element of players influencing the world in the form of the AQ event. At least that's the only one that I remember. Maybe they had other things like that since then. I haven't played it too much. But the AQ event was one thing that happened during the time that I played. Now I think that that was a very badly implemented thing. It was long and tedious, and the main thing that changed in the world was essentially a door opens, which most players never step through anyway. But still, I loved the underlying idea of players' actions actually having an effect on the world. One honorable mention in that aspect is, in my opinion, The Matrix Online. Now, The Matrix Online was quite a terrible game, really was, but it had one simply great idea. From time to time, the devs would take control of important NPCs and do something with them, asking players to tag along and help them. That is just so much better and so much more alive feeling than just having your NPCs stand around or, at best, follow a set routine all the time. I loved attacking Stormwind. How much cooler and more awesome would it have been to attack Stormwind at the side of Sylvanas Windrunner, who just comes out and says, "Let's go, attack Stormwind, we're right there," and that would have been so cool. Now, how is it for you? Which MMO game worlds feel alive to you, and why? Till then, have a good time. I'm Kamaleao. Goodbye.